Hi, today I want to talk some more about our evolution and the characteristics that evolution gave us. Previously I have explained how our distant ancestors used persistence hunting to chase animals in the midday sun until those animals collapsed from heat exhaustion. We lost body hair and developed a vast array of sweat glands during that process, and today the humans have an exceptional ability to run marathons in hot weather. But of course our evolution gave us far more abilities than the ability to do marathons. Our evolution turned us into the dominant species on the planet. One of the reasons for that, of course, was our opposable thumbs, which allowed us to grip and manipulate things. But more important was our brain power. We have the best brains of any creature on the planet. Our brains have 3 evolutionary layers. The most ancient and basic involves instinct. And I think that many of us would do better if we trusted our instincts more than we typically do. Later in time, we developed a secondary layer which was involved with memory. We could remember what we'd done previously and remember what sort of outcome we had from that so that we could make better decisions. Again, as time went by, we developed a third evolutionary layer which is all about thinking and abstract thought and being able to imagine what would happen if we did this or if we did that, and to communicate those ideas to other people and receive those ideas back from them. How good we are at doing that depends upon connectivity in our brain, which means how many actual connections brain cells make with other brain cells. Fascinatingly, research over the last 20 years or so has shown that increased physical exercise increases connectivity in the brain via chemicals in the brain. There are several involved, but one of the most important ones is known as BDNF. That stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived means it is created in the brain. Neuro means nerve. Trophic means growth. So to make those connections between one brain cell and another that I just mentioned, you need brain-derived neurotrophic factor to be present. The more exercise you do, the more brain-derived neurotrophic factor is created in the brain. So all that chasing after animals was actually improving the connectivity of our brains, not just giving us sweat glands and nutritious food. So is this just an evolutionary thing, or is it totally relevant to now? It is absolutely relevant to now, and it's particularly relevant to students and school children as their brains are growing. There's been some interesting research on this. This is a published American study entitled Children's Aerobic Fitness and Academic Achievement, a longitudinal examination of students during their 5th and 7th grades. They studied 725 10-year-old children, which is 5th grade in America. They tested their aerobic fitness and compared that to academic test scores in maths, reading, science and social studies. They returned 2 years later to the same school and retested those same children. They classified children as either high fitness zone or needs improvement zone. They put them in 4 groups: fit at 10 and 12, those that were fit at 10 but had lost fitness by 12, those who went the other way around, who were more fit at 12 than at 10, and finally those who were unfit and stayed that way. And these are the results. On the left you have the high fitness zone at 5th grade and 7th grade, and their results in all subjects are the best. On the far right you have the group who were unfit both times, and their results are clearly below the rest of them. The ones who went, the 2 groups in the middle, were either fit at 10 and unfit at 12, or the other way around. and clearly their results are in between these two groups. This is pretty clear evidence that the physically fit children, the aerobically fit children, do better academically. There are plenty of these studies showing the same thing, but I'll just show you one more. This is from the University of Michigan, which does a lot of work in this area. And this one is called A Neuroimaging Investigation of the Association between Aerobic Fitness, Hippocampal Volume, and Memory Performance in Pre-Adolescent Children. They always write scientific papers in that sort of language. What they actually did was to study a group of just over 300 children. They tested their aerobic fitness, and they also gave them standard memory tests. They collated the results, and they discovered that the children who were fittest, physically fittest, did the best in memory tests. The children who had the least aerobic fitness did the poorest. But they went one stage further in this particular study, and they gave all of these children an MRI scan. They scanned their brains, and they looked particularly at a structure called the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is most involved in the formation of memories. And they found that the children who were most aerobically fit and did best in memory tests had a bigger hippocampus. On average, it was 12% bigger than the children who were least fit and did the worst in these tests. So all the exercise that these children had done to gain their aerobic fitness had produced neurotrophic factors in the brain that had actually changed the structure of essential components of the brain. So how fit are typical school children right now? Dr. Gavin Sandercock of Essex University is perhaps the leading expert in British children's fitness. He has been testing fitness and strength of school children for decades, and this is a snippet from one of his research papers. Least fit child 20 years ago would be among today's fittest, is the headline. The decrease in childhood fitness in the past 2 decades has been so great the least fit child in a class of 30 tested in 1998 would be among the 5 fittest in a class of 30 children tested today. Dr. Sandercock said, "If we could time travel to hold a 1-mile race so today's parents and their children were both 10 years old, the mums and dads would win it by about 90 seconds. That is a catastrophic decline in fitness. But surely schools are obliged to provide at least 2 hours a week of physical education. What is on the curriculum for physical education? Well, I looked that up, and here is an extract from the government website highlighting the primary school curriculum for physical education. Pupils should be taught to explore how to apply skills and actions in sequence and combination, apply rules and conventions for different activities, describe what they have done, know how important it is to be active, to recognize and describe how their bodies feel during different activities. This little sample is all very nice and modern, but how does it improve fitness? I expected the curriculum to contain fun and enjoyable activities that would increase aerobic capacity and strength. I have searched the entire curriculum and I can find no requirement or even suggestion that schools should make physical fitness a priority, despite the fact that fitness is vital for children's health and academic performance. Surely the Department of Education has scientific advisors who could highlight the research I've mentioned here. Indeed, the chief scientific advisor to the Education Department is a man called Osama Rahman. What sort of scientist do you suppose he is? An expert in education, or childhood development, or even brain development? What do you think? I'm sorry, it's a trick question. He's not a scientist. He's an economist. His predecessor was also an economist. The trouble is, if you have no biological sciences experience, you don't know what it is you don't know. I have to wonder if he has any idea what, for instance, BDNF stands for, or any knowledge of the information I've shared here. If you have children or grandchildren, you cannot rely upon the government to fulfil their physical and educational potential. I believe we should all do whatever we can to encourage and enable young people to be more active, to be stronger and aerobically fitter. After all, that's how we evolved into what we are. Helping a young person to be strong and fit will be of significant benefit to that child for the rest of their lives.